So natural language interfaces can be pretty brittle, but if the database is simple and the questions are focused, you get pretty good results. In fact, you get very highly reliable results. But what about when the questions that the user poses are not matching values? So they ask for John Smith when the database has Smith Jonathan. What about when they're using kind of complex syntax or they're using aspects of SQL not captured? What about when they're asking for things that are not represented in the database? And what about when they know that there's an LLM lurking in the background and they want to combine database questions with that LLM? All right, what we show here is just like the simple, straightforward questions that can be answered. So this is a monster database, and we're simply getting the monsters here that are humanoid, and then we're going to get the most intelligent of those humanoid monsters. And then we can actually even click on an image here and see what it looks like. That's the creature. So what about non-matching values? So in this monster database, what we're going to look at then is, for instance, we might want to say, well, here are the monster names there on the side. So we might want to ask a question like, what's the intelligence of, let's say, angel, solar. All right, it gives the right answer because it's a literal answer. But what if we change this to a angel sun? So a sun angel, basically. Well, if you look down in the lower right-hand corner, it's actually doing the mapping. So it's using SBERT to do the mappings to find the right value. And of course, what happens if we have something that, like moon angel? Well, it's still doing that, so the user has to be somewhat attentive to what's going on with that. So let's talk about non-covered constructs now. So some non-covered constructs. So the first question we're going to ask is basically like creatures with smarts over 20. Okay, that is not able to be handled by the parser. So it falls back here, and what we can do is we can just basically be asking here to generate a prompt to do a rewording of the user's question. So here we're using schema linking, so we're only focusing on the relevant tables in the database. But when we copy this prompt and then we go out to Gemini and we ask for Gemini to give us an answer back, it takes that initial query that we had, or initial question we had, and it gives us this link back that goes back into catchphrase and gives us the proper answer. So we used an LLM to do rewording of the question there. So the monsters with a combined intelligence and wisdom over 40. So in this case here, what we need is to generate just some SQL, some text to SQL, and here we're going to use ChatGPT to generate that. And then what we get out here is we get out the actual SQL that the system was unable to actually generate itself, but now what we can do is we can literally have that SQL evaluated over the database. So because we asked for like this idea of combining stuff, we're still able to get in and get the answer. What about out of range concepts? So here what we see is for dragons, guess which like ice cream. So of the dragons, which ones like ice cream? So this is not covered in the database, but what we do here is we do this kind of like inline RAG here. So we're bringing back all the dragons, and then we're constructing this prompt here, and we can paste that into an LLM to get what its guess is about that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the concept of basically just kind of pre-built prompts here. So when the user wants just to explicitly do RAG through the natural language interface here. So monster name prompts for a Almirage. And this right here would be like, give me a scary story about an Almirage. So we can paste that in. So what this shows here is that catchphrase directly answers simple questions. It uses SBERT to resolve non-matching values, and then when it misses, it generates prompts. So the user can go and they can select the prompt that they want to paste in to their favorite LLM, and that's for like misconception identification, rewording the questions, doing text to SQL, doing this inline RAG type approach, and then custom RAG. Okay. So we encourage you to visit the website, and you can actually run the demo yourself to kind of get a sense of it. Thank you.